You don't owe the world an explanation for every pain you feel. Stop handing out pieces of your heart to people who are only curious, not caring. Here's the truth. Not everyone listening to your problems wants to see you heal. Some are just gathering stories. If you are tired of feeling judged, exposed, or misunderstood, this message is for you. This is not just about staying quiet. This is about protecting your peace, keeping your dignity, and finding the strength to grow without needing the validation of others. Listen carefully, because this might be the reminder that changes how you handle every challenge in life. Most of us, when we are going through pain, think that talking about it to as many people as possible will somehow make the pain easier to bear. We believe that sharing every detail of our struggles will give us relief, and for a moment, it might feel that way, as though a heavy weight has been lifted off our chest. But the truth is, not everyone cares about your struggles, and this is one of the hardest lessons life teaches us. People are busy with their own lives, their own worries, and their own insecurities. They do not carry your pain when they go to sleep at night. They do not stay awake thinking about how to solve your problems. Some will hear you out simply because they have nothing better to do, not because they truly care about what you are going through. Worse still, there are people who will smile in front of you while secretly feeling relieved that your life is difficult. It gives them a strange sense of comfort to see you struggling, because it makes them feel less alone in their own misery. Some may even be secretly pleased because your pain makes them feel as if they are doing better in comparison. When you open your heart to such people, you are not receiving comfort. You are simply entertaining someone's curiosity and sometimes feeding their hidden satisfaction. You have to understand that not every ear you speak to is a safe place. In fact, many times, when you tell people your story, you give them power over your emotions. They now hold a part of your life that is deeply personal, and not everyone knows how to handle that power responsibly. Some will keep your story to themselves, but others will spread it, twist it, and turn it into a topic of gossip. Before long, you might hear your own struggles coming back to you in a completely different form, exaggerated and shared with others who were never meant to know about them. This is why we must be very selective about who we trust with our pain. Not everyone who listens is a friend, and not everyone who nods in sympathy is wishing you well. Some are simply collecting information. Some are silently judging you. Some are waiting for you to fall even further so they can say, "I knew this would happen." When you keep sharing your problems with everyone, you keep giving them ammunition to use against you later. Even the people who mean no harm may not be capable of giving you the advice you need. They might unintentionally discourage you or tell you to take a path that makes your situation worse, simply because they do not understand your circumstances fully. Instead of rushing to tell people everything you are going through, take a step back and remind yourself that your pain is yours to process. You don't need the whole world to witness your tears. You don't need everyone's sympathy to feel validated. In fact, real strength is when you go through something difficult, but you choose to keep your dignity and deal with it quietly. Not because you are hiding, but because you are protecting your heart from being handled carelessly by people who do not value it. You will notice that the more you share your problems with random people, the more you start to feel drained. It is as though each conversation is reopening the wound you are trying to heal. You keep reliving the pain over and over instead of allowing yourself to move on. On the other hand, when you practice silence, you create space for healing. You give yourself room to think clearly, to find solutions, and to seek guidance from the right places rather than drowning in unnecessary opinions. There is also a very important emotional and spiritual lesson in this. You are not supposed to rely on people for everything. Sometimes life forces you into a situation where you feel completely alone, not because you are truly alone, but because it is teaching you to rely on your inner strength and on your connection with God. When you stop telling everyone your problems, you start telling them to the one who can actually change your situation. You discover that pouring out your heart in prayer gives you more relief than pouring it out to 100 uninterested ears. Learning this lesson is not always easy. It might feel lonely at first. You might feel like you have no one to talk to, no one who understands you. But slowly you will begin to notice that silence gives you a special kind of power. It gives you control over your emotions and your narrative. People no longer get to define your story based on what they think they know about you. You are no longer giving them the script of your life to analyze or criticize. You are simply living, growing, and working on yourself without seeking constant validation. And when you finally overcome that difficulty, when you finally achieve what you were praying for, when you finally rise above that pain, the same people who were once curious about your suffering will now see your success without ever knowing what you had to endure to get there. That moment will be one of the most satisfying feelings in the world, because your victory will speak louder than any story you could have told them. So stop telling everyone your problems. Stop assuming that every person you meet is a safe place for your pain. Start observing who really cares about you and who just wants to know your business. Choose silence when silence is wise, and when you need to speak, choose carefully whom you trust. This shift in perspective will protect your peace, guard your dignity, and save you from unnecessary heartbreak. When you constantly talk about your problems, you are not just sharing your pain, you are reliving it, reopening the same wound over and over again. It may feel like you are releasing your emotions, but in reality, you are repeatedly draining yourself of the little energy you have left to fight your way out. Your mind and heart need space to breathe, but by repeating the same story to person after person, you keep yourself stuck in the same place emotionally. This is why protecting your energy and dignity is so important when you are going through something difficult. Your energy is what you need to heal, grow, and move forward. If you waste it on endless complaining, you leave yourself too tired to actually do the work that will change your situation. Every time you sit down with someone and pour out your pain, you reawaken the feelings you are trying to overcome. It's like tearing open a wound just when it was beginning to close. People think that venting is always therapeutic, but too much venting can trap you in a cycle of sadness. You begin to define yourself by your pain. You start to see yourself as a victim who has been wronged, rather than as someone capable of rising above adversity. Protecting your energy means knowing when to talk and when to stay silent. It means saving your emotional strength for the moments when you truly need it, instead of wasting it on those who cannot or will not help you. Your dignity is just as valuable as your energy, and it can quietly slip away when you overshare your personal struggles. There is nothing wrong with seeking help or advice, but constantly broadcasting your pain can make you appear weak or desperate in the eyes of others. Some people will start to pity you, and pity is rarely empowering. Others will lose respect for you, not because you did anything wrong, but because your vulnerability is being displayed everywhere. Dignity is the quiet strength of holding yourself together even when you feel like breaking apart. It is the ability to suffer gracefully, to endure with patience, and to speak about your pain only to those who truly matter. Imagine this. Every time you tell someone about your hardship, you hand them a piece of your story. The more people you tell, the more scattered those pieces become. Soon, your entire life becomes public knowledge, open for discussion and interpretation. People will start giving you unsolicited advice, sharing their opinions about what you should do, and even judging your choices. This can leave you feeling exposed and overwhelmed. By protecting your energy and dignity, you keep the most vulnerable parts of your life where they belong, with you. Another thing we often overlook is how complaining affects our mindset. When we repeatedly talk about what is wrong, we train our brain to focus on the negative. Our problems begin to grow larger in our mind because we are giving them constant attention. Instead of seeing a way out, we become more convinced that there is no escape. Protecting your energy means being careful about what you focus on. You choose to put your energy into thinking about solutions instead of endlessly describing the problem. This shift in mindset can make a huge difference in how quickly you move forward. Your dignity also demands that you do not let everyone see you at your lowest. Some battles are meant to be fought quietly, behind closed doors. This is not about hiding or pretending to be perfect. It is about giving yourself the space to heal without unnecessary interference. You do not owe anyone an explanation for why you are struggling. You do not need to convince people of how hard your life has been. True dignity is when you refuse to turn your pain into a spectacle for the world to watch. When you protect your energy, you also protect your relationships. Sometimes, constantly talking about your problems can push people away. Even those who love you can begin to feel overwhelmed if all they hear from you is sadness and frustration. They may start avoiding you, not because they do not care, but because they feel drained too. This can lead to a sense of isolation, which makes you feel worse. But when you are mindful of how much you share, you give your loved ones space to support you in healthy ways instead of feeling burdened by you. This does not mean you should bottle everything up and suffer in silence. It simply means you must be intentional about where and how you release your emotions. Write them down in a journal. Pray about them. Talk to a trusted friend or counselor who can guide you. But resist the urge to talk to everyone, because not everyone is capable of carrying your pain with the care it deserves. Your energy is like water in a container. Once it is spilled everywhere, you cannot easily gather it back. Save it for what truly matters. Over time, as you practice protecting your energy and dignity, you will notice that you feel calmer. You will not feel as exhausted from constant emotional outpouring. You will find that you can think more clearly, make better decisions, and keep moving forward without being held back by the weight of other people's opinions. You will also notice that others begin to respect you more. They see your quiet strength, your composure, and your ability to face life's challenges without turning everything into a public drama. There is incredible beauty in a person who suffers with grace, not because they are suppressing their emotions, but because they choose carefully when and how to express them. That is what true emotional maturity looks like. Protecting your energy and dignity does not just help you survive your problems, it helps you grow into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling whatever life throws at you next. One of the hardest lessons you will ever learn is that not everyone you open up to has your best interest at heart. When you share your pain, your struggles, and your deepest thoughts, you are exposing the most vulnerable part of yourself. You are giving someone access to pieces of you that no one else sees. This might feel comforting in the moment because it seems like you have found a safe place. But the truth is, some people will take what you have shared and use it in ways you never imagined. Your vulnerability can easily become a weapon in the hands of the wrong person. We often assume that when we tell someone our problems, they will respond with kindness, compassion, and support. Unfortunately, this is not always the case. Some people will use your weakness to control you, manipulate you, or even humiliate you. They may act sympathetic at first, nodding along as you pour your heart out, but later, they may bring up what you said in a moment of anger to hurt you. They might even twist your words and share them with others, turning your private pain into public gossip. This is why you must be careful about who you trust. Your pain is not entertainment. Your struggles are not a story for others to laugh about behind closed doors. There are people who will take what you tell them and use it as proof that you are failing or not good enough. They will spread it to others, adding their own opinions to make it sound worse than it is. Before long, something you shared in confidence becomes the subject of conversation among people who don't even know you well. This can feel like betrayal, and it is. Even worse, some people will keep your secrets, but they will secretly feel empowered by knowing so much about you. They will use your vulnerability to feel superior, to believe that they have something over you. This creates an unhealthy imbalance in the relationship. You may start to feel like you owe them something because they know too much. You might even find yourself afraid to upset them because they could reveal what you told them in a moment of trust. That is not friendship, and it is not love. It is a form of emotional control. When you are vulnerable with someone who cannot be trusted, you put yourself at risk of being emotionally hurt even more deeply than before. It is painful enough to deal with the original problem you were facing, but when someone misses your vulnerability, they add a layer of betrayal that can feel impossible to recover from. Suddenly, you are not just dealing with the situation itself, but also with the heartbreak of knowing that someone you trusted did not protect you. This is why silence can be so powerful. It is not about hiding your pain. It is about guarding it from those who cannot handle it with care. You must become very discerning about who you let into the most personal corners of your life. Ask yourself, if I tell this person my problem, will they keep it safe? Or will they use it against me later? Not everyone deserves access to your heart. You must give that privilege only to people who have proven through their actions that they are trustworthy, loyal, and sincere. It is also important to understand that sometimes people misuse your vulnerability unintentionally. They may repeat what you told them without meaning harm, simply because they do not understand how deeply personal it was to you. This is why you should never assume that just because someone is close to you, they will automatically respect your privacy. If a situation is too sensitive, it is better to keep it to yourself or share it only with someone you know has the maturity to handle it. Another danger of exposing your vulnerability too easily is that it can change the way others perceive you. When you constantly share every problem, some people may begin to see you as weak or unstable. They might not take you seriously anymore. They may start doubting your ability to handle responsibility because in their mind you are always struggling. This can affect your reputation, your relationships, and even opportunities in life. Your vulnerability is a beautiful thing when shared with the right people. It allows for deep connection, emotional healing, and support. But when shared carelessly, it can leave scars. You have to learn when to open up and when to stay quiet. There is nothing wrong with saying less. There is nothing wrong with keeping your pain between yourself and God. In fact, some of the strongest people in the world are those who suffer silently, who do not let the wrong people know what battles they are fighting, and who come out victorious without having exposed their weakness to those who would have celebrated their fall. When you stop giving everyone access to your most vulnerable moments, you take back control of your life. You no longer live in fear of what people might do with your secrets. You no longer worry about who is talking about you behind your back. You find peace in knowing that what you are dealing with is between you and the one who can fix it. That kind of peace is priceless. So remember this: being vulnerable is not a mistake, but being vulnerable with the wrong people is. Protect your heart like it is a treasure, because it is. Choose your listeners carefully. Speak to those who uplift you, not those who secretly want to see you fall. And above all, never forget that some of your deepest pain is meant to be shared only in prayer, where there is no risk of betrayal, no risk of gossip, and no risk of misuse. One of the most liberating realizations you will ever have is that you don't need to tell everyone about your problems, but you do need to tell the right ones. The difference between finding peace and staying stuck often comes down to who you turn to in your moment of struggle. Too many times, we run to the nearest person, the loudest friend, or the most available ear, thinking that if we just talk enough, we will feel better. But not everyone has the wisdom, patience, or heart to guide you through your storm. Some will just listen out of politeness. Some will offer shallow words that do nothing to help. And some may even give you advice that makes your situation worse. That is why choosing the right sources for help is one of the most important decisions you can make when you are facing difficulties. The first and most important source you should turn to is the one who created you. People can offer sympathy, but only God can offer solutions. When you take your pain to Him in prayer, you are not just complaining, you are transferring the weight from your shoulders to His. You are asking for guidance, strength, and clarity from the one who already knows the ending to your story. There is comfort in crying out in the privacy of your room, in letting your tears fall where no one else can see them, and in knowing that every tear is heard, every sigh is counted, and every prayer is answered, though sometimes in ways you don't yet understand. This is the safest place you can put your problems, because there is no risk of betrayal, no chance of gossip, and no danger that someone will use your pain against you. But turning to God does not mean you cannot seek human help as well. We were created to live in community, to rely on each other, and to support one another. The key is being intentional about who you choose. There are some people in your life who genuinely want to see you rise. They will not just listen. They will give you sincere advice, pray for you, and remind you of your worth when you forget it. These people are rare, but they exist. They are not always the ones who talk the most or appear to be the most sympathetic. Sometimes they are the quiet ones who observe more than they speak. But when they do speak, their words have weight. You must also be careful to seek advice from those who are wise, not just those who are available. Sometimes the people closest to us are not the best people to guide us. They may love us, but they may also be emotional, biased, or too involved in our situation to see things clearly. This is why mentors, elders, or people with life experience can be invaluable. They have walked through storms of their own, and their advice comes from a place of understanding and maturity. Turning to the right source does not just mean finding someone who will agree with you. It means finding someone who will tell you what you need to hear, even if it is hard. The wrong source can do more harm than good. Imagine sharing your pain with someone who exaggerates it, spreads it, or gives you advice that pushes you in the wrong direction. You walk away feeling worse, not better. You might even make choices that complicate your life further because you trusted someone who was not equipped to guide you. This is why you must learn to pause before speaking, to evaluate whether the person you are about to confide in is truly worthy of carrying your burden. Choosing the right source for help also means being mindful of what kind of help you actually need. Sometimes you don't need advice, you just need someone to listen without judgment. Other times you need practical solutions, someone who can help you make a plan and take steps forward. And sometimes you don't need people at all. You need time alone with your thoughts, your prayers, and your journal to sort through what you are feeling. The more you understand what you need, the easier it becomes to find the right source to meet that need. It also requires humility to admit that you need guidance. Too many people suffer in silence not because they are wise, but because they are too proud to ask for help. Protecting your dignity does not mean isolating yourself completely. It means seeking help in a way that builds you up rather than tears you down. There is no shame in saying, "I need advice," or "I don't know what to do." The shame is in going to the wrong people who make you feel small for asking. The beauty of turning to the right sources is that it accelerates your growth. Instead of staying stuck in a cycle of complaining, you begin to take action. You begin to see your situation differently because someone with wisdom has helped you see it from another angle. You feel lighter, not because the problem has vanished, but because you are no longer carrying it alone or in confusion. And when you turn to God first, even the human help you receive feels divinely guided, as though the right words come to you at the right time through the right person. So, the next time you are tempted to tell everyone about your problem, stop and think. Ask yourself, will sharing this with this person bring me closer to a solution, or just make me feel exposed? If the answer is the latter, keep it to yourself and take it to the one who can handle it. Surround yourself with people who protect your secrets, who speak life into your heart, who point you towards solutions instead of drowning you in more negativity. When you learn to turn to the right sources for help, you stop wasting your energy on the wrong ones. And that is when real healing begins. When problems hit us, our first instinct is often to talk about them. We complain to friends, to family, and sometimes even to strangers. At first, this feels like relief, as though by talking about it, we have done something productive. But the reality is that complaining rarely changes anything. It only keeps us trapped in the same cycle of frustration. The more we talk about what is wrong, the more we feed it with our energy. It grows bigger in our mind, taking up all our focus, until it begins to feel hopeless. The truth is, what we focus on expands. If all we focus on is the problem, it will start to consume our thoughts, our emotions, and even our ability to see a way out. Focusing on solutions requires a shift in mindset. It is about refusing to let your problem define you and choosing instead to direct your energy toward fixing it. This doesn't mean ignoring what you feel or pretending everything is fine. It means acknowledging the pain but refusing to stay stuck in it. Complaining might make you feel heard, but it does not move you closer to healing. Every time you complain, you relive the hurt and stay in the same emotional state you are trying to escape. But every time you focus on solutions, you take back control. You stop being a victim of the situation and start becoming the author of your response. Think of how much time and energy we waste retelling the same story again and again. Each time we tell it, we become more attached to it. We begin to identify with it, introducing ourselves by our pain instead of our potential. But if that same energy was put into brainstorming ideas, seeking guidance, making plans, or even taking small steps toward improvement, life would begin to shift. Complaining might feel good for a moment, but it is a short-term relief that comes at the cost of long-term progress. Focusing on solutions also forces you to take responsibility for your life. Complaining puts the blame outside of you. It is always someone else's fault. Some situation's fault, some unfair twist of fate. But solutions require you to ask yourself hard questions. What can I do differently? How can I respond better? What action can I take right now to improve this situation? These are not easy questions, but they are empowering ones. They remind you that you are not powerless, that there is always something you can do, even if it is just changing the way you think about the problem. Another reason to avoid constant complaining is that it pushes people away. No one enjoys being around someone who only talks about what is wrong. It drains the listener and creates an atmosphere of negativity. People might listen the first few times, but eventually they will begin to avoid you, not because they don't care, but because they feel weighed down every time you enter the room. When you focus on solutions instead, you become the kind of person others want to support. You bring an energy of strength and determination rather than despair, and this attracts the right kind of help. Solutions also open the door to gratitude. When you stop obsessing over what is wrong, you start noticing what is still right. This gratitude fuels your resilience. You begin to realize that even though life is hard, you still have the ability to act, to improve, and to move forward. Complaining keeps you focused on the door that has closed, while solutions help you find the window that is still open. Of course, there'll be moments when the pain feels so heavy that you need to talk about it. That is natural and healthy, as long as it is done with the intention of moving forward rather than staying stuck. Venting to a trusted friend, writing in a journal, or praying can all be ways to release the emotion without letting it control you. But once the feelings are out, shift the conversation to what now? Do not get addicted to the comfort of being the one with a sad story. Instead, strive to be the one with the testimony of how you overcame. Life is too short to spend it talking about the same pain over and over. Every day you spend complaining is a day you could have spent building something better. Problems will always exist, but so will solutions if you are willing to look for them. Even the smallest action can start to change the direction of your life. One decision to stop complaining and start acting can create a ripple effect that leads you to opportunities you never imagined. The most powerful people are not those who never face problems. They are those who face them head on, learn from them, and rise stronger because of them. You have that same power within you. The moment you shift from complaining to creating solutions, you start to transform your life. You stop waiting for someone else to fix things for you and begin to build your own way forward. So the next time you feel like complaining, pause and ask yourself, will saying this change anything? Or will it just keep me where I am? Then challenge yourself to take one step toward a solution, no matter how small. It could be seeking advice from someone wise, writing a plan, or simply deciding that you will not let this problem control your peace of mind today. That one decision, repeated day after day, can turn your pain into progress and your struggle into strength. One of the hardest lessons in life is that growth often happens in silence. We live in a world where sharing everything has become normal. Every thought, every emotion, every struggle is put out there for others to see. But the truth is, some of your most important battles must be fought in private. The moments that truly shape you, the ones that test your character and push you toward maturity, are not meant for the world to witness. They are sacred, quiet struggles where you face yourself, your fears, and your weaknesses. Silent struggle is uncomfortable. It can feel lonely and unfair. You might wish you had someone to tell, someone who could fully understand what you are going through. But there is a reason why some struggles are hidden from others. Because they are meant to grow you, not just get sympathy from you. If everyone knew exactly what you were going through, you might get comfort. But you might also lose the chance to truly strengthen your inner resolve. Growth requires a certain level of solitude because that is where you discover who you really are when no one is watching. The beauty of silent struggle is that it forces you to dig deep. When you cannot lean on others for constant reassurance, you learn to rely on your own strength and, more importantly, on God. You begin to talk to Him more, to trust Him more, and to realize that even when people cannot be there for you, He always is. Silent struggles build faith in a way that no conversation ever could. They teach you patience because answers do not come immediately. They teach you humility because you realize you are not in control of everything. And they teach you resilience because you learn how to endure pain without falling apart. Another powerful aspect of silent struggle is that it protects you from unnecessary noise. The more people you tell about what you are going through, the more opinions you receive, and not all of those opinions will help you. Some will confuse you, some will discourage you, and some will only make you feel worse. Silence gives you clarity. It allows you to process your pain without being overwhelmed by the reactions of others. You can think, reflect, and make decisions without feeling pressured to meet anyone's expectations. When you endure something in silence, you also avoid becoming defined by your struggle. People will not label you or reduce you to your pain. You are free to transform without being watched, to fail and try again without being judged, and to come out on the other side as a stronger person without anyone knowing exactly what it took for you to get there. There is a quiet dignity in that. The kind of dignity that comes from knowing that you faced something heavy, but you did not let it destroy you. Growth from silent struggle is not quick. It happens gradually, like a seed pushing through the soil in the dark before it ever sees the sun. There will be days when you feel like nothing is changing, when you wonder if all the pain is even worth it. But one day you will look back and realize how much stronger you have become. You will notice that things that once broke you no longer have power over you. You will notice that your patience has deepened, your wisdom has sharpened, and your faith has grown. It is also important to remember that silent struggle does not mean silent suffering forever. There may come a time when you share your story, not to complain, but to inspire others. Your testimony will carry weight because it was not born out of attention seeking, but out of endurance. People will feel the strength in your words because they will sense that they came from a real place. But that moment of sharing will come after you have healed, not while you are still bleeding. Silent struggle also shapes your relationship with others. Once you have gone through something privately and survived, you become more compassionate toward others who are fighting their own battles. You begin to realize that everyone is carrying something unseen, and this makes you more patient, more gentle, and less quick to judge. Your struggle turns you into a source of strength for others, someone who can guide them without making them feel weak. In the end, silent struggles are not punishments. They are training grounds. They prepare you for bigger responsibilities, for greater wisdom, and for a deeper understanding of life. They strip away the parts of you that cannot go with you to the next level and build in you the strength you will need for what lies ahead. So when you find yourself in a season where no one seems to understand what you are going through, do not despise that season. It is a sign that something within you is being refined. Stay patient. Keep going. Keep turning to prayer. Keep working on yourself, and keep believing that the pain will one day make sense. Growth is rarely loud or glamorous. It is slow, steady, and often invisible until it suddenly shows in the way you carry yourself, in the peace you have, and in the wisdom you speak. Your silent struggles will one day become your greatest strength. They will not break you, they will build you. And when you finally rise from them, you will rise with a depth of character that could only have been formed in silence. That is why growth from silent struggle is so powerful, because it transforms you in ways no audience could ever applaud, but in ways that will shape the rest of your life.